All right. I don't know, final topic, but other topic here I got, which was the. Did you happen to think on this one? The your ranking list for best classes for new players in 2024. Don't say them yet if you got them. Have you thought on this
Yes,
already
I
or no?
have.
Okay, I have two. I think that the format that we should potentially do this is go from the easiest to hardest of our ranking of three and swap off
Sure.
and give reasons on why, or the other person ask reasons on why.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you want to start or shall I?
You can go ahead and start.
Well, the easiest for me is a fighter.
Oh, fighter?
Yeah, the easiest for me is a fighter. Because I think that's it's really easy concept for people to understand of okay, I have weapons that okay if I've got this proficiency in the weapon, then I'm able to use it. Oh, I can just use all of them. Okay, cool. That makes my life easier, right? All right, I can wear. Okay, I can just wear all the armor. Cool. All right, so I just need to wear a weapon, an armor, and I just go and I hit things. And I've got some additional abilities on there, like second wind at later levels and so on and so forth. But it's very approachable all throughout. There's not a lot of depth there, but you can make that depth occur with the different subclasses if you should choose. Like Battle Master gives you quite a lot of options, but they still do have the most approachable, easiest one of Champion of, oh, I was critting on 20. Now I can crit on a 19 as well. Okay, sounds good. Makes sense to me. So basic, so easy to understand, viable, great.
Alrighty.
Questions on that?
Sometimes people, what is your thoughts and feelings on the fact that sometimes I've noticed that new players when playing fighters have difficulty utilizing the feature the brain for 5 seconds here, the term for the
The fighting styles?
not the fighting styles. We had a conversation about that earlier, but I'm having a brain fart. Oh, what do you regain stuff?
Oh, are you talking
The expendable features.
the second wind and the action surge?
What's the magic term that covers all those things?
Um, things that replenish on short and long rest? Um,
I'm having a brain fart. You said it. Oh, I'm happy that I don't have X. I don't have to do
oh,
X thing.
shoot. Yeah, I know what you're talking about. Resources.
Resources. Yes.
Resources.
What? It's such a simple word. I
Yeah,
forgot it.
that's okay. Right, yeah, the fighter, you've got very minimal
Yeah.
in the racer. You got your action surge and your second wind.
Yeah. You have your action surge and second wind. Those are two resources. Sometimes when people have say like second wind and action surge, they will sometimes hoard
Oh,
those
that's
through
true.
combats, and they become exceedingly concerned
Oh, you mean
about
because
you.
they have so few of them?
Yeah,
By
it's,
comparison to like a spellcaster that could have like a level one wizard, I think has like six level one spells and like three canters or something.
yeah,
So you have like so many resources.
yeah. So what's the solving on that one?
Well, honestly, I think that
We have to prod fighters to use their action
you
surge.
kind of do. You got to throw them up against something that like warrants it to an extent.
Yeah,
Example, you've got two bandits and then you've got this third bandit that looks like maybe some kind of captain or he's kind of bulky and muscular, right? So then the fighter can look at that and be like, "Oh, I got to deal with this one and I'm going to use my ability that really helps me in combat to get through this
I
guy."
use my action surge to
Yeah.
get an extra attack right off the bat.
Oh, he just hit me for a 12 and I only had 15 health. Now I got to use my second wind.
Yeah.
So I think you can really build those situations to happen for them where it forces them to make the choice.
We're starting with easiest.
Yeah. Are you
All right.
picking fighter?
What am I picking?
Yeah, it's your
You're
easiest.
gonna love this. Rogue.
Okay.
There's no resources whatsoever. You only have one attack. if you land, you can just simply ask the DM, and if you get sneak attack, you roll extra dice. Is you get a lot of skill proficiencies for the class. You're the skill monkey, which means you have more opportunity to roll dice and get intimate with the mechanics. But even then, even if you're not rolling a lot of skills, you're still having fun. But you also have expertise, and expertise is fun. You know that.
I do. Look, you're arguing my favorite class to me, which I think is a valid point.
And expertise doubles your proficiency, so it means you're really good at something. So if you really want to be super stealthy, you expertise your stealth, and you can easily ask people. And still have good armor class. You got light armor. You got evasion, uncanny dodge, so you can cut your damage in half of multiple ways. You can even just negate damage outright if you succeed on your dexterity saving throw, dex saves. And the class grows very nicely with you over time. Probably the only thing that's probably hard on people is probably having to deal with all the counting of dice is with sneak attack as you get into higher levels.
Okay.
But it's still a fairly linear class.
So I'm a new player learning the class. Mr. DM, I'm trying to learn how to tell when I have sneak attack. Can you explain when I'm sneaking? What it means to be sneaking?
Well, a sneak attack is basically you cleverly targeting an opponent in a weak spot at an opportune time. So whenever you have advantage, you have sneak attack. If you have an ally hanging out with you that's distracting the enemy with you, you have sneak attack.
So if I'm hiding in the bush over there, do I have sneak attack?
If you have successfully done a hide, you successfully hidden. I almost did a hide check at 3.5 point.
So,
but if you go and hide and you succeed on your stealth check, you get sneak attack.
So if I'm hiding over there, how could I possibly ever know if I'm successfully hidden? How could I possibly ever know if that guy knows I'm in here? In actuality, like if I wanted to apply sneak to it, how could I ever know if I'm actually ever hidden from someone?
The easy solution for that for a DM is simply ask the player to roll stealth, and then every time when they attack, you just ask them, okay, what's your damage for your regular attack? Go ahead and then roll your sneak attack damage.
That sounds like it's getting complicated.
And then if they weren't successfully hiding, you don't put the sneak attack damage on the monster.
That sounds like it get confusing and a little bit disheartening for the player because you don't
tell them
because you don't necessarily know whether or not you're even doing all this damage. You could be like looking at it and your sneak dice had like 18 damage because you had 3d6, but your other dice only did 2d6, and now you're sitting here like, or not even 2d6, it'd be a d6. Now you're sitting here like, did I do 5 damage or did I do like 25 damage? And that can be a bit disheartening and a little bit not fun for the player.
Don't worry about it. But we're here to have fun. And when the enemy falls, and I'm quite sure that you're probably going to... There's a good chance that you're going to be the one that does the dealing blow.
No, rogues never do that.
Yeah, rogues do that constantly. And so do warlocks, from my personal experience.
I would never.
So.
All right. Fair take. I do agree on a lot of the topics there. So I'm going to continue to number 2 on mine, which is rogue.
Okay, let's start your whole thing.
So rogues are, I mean, yeah, you've got proficiencies are super easy to understand in general, in my opinion, and then with that, expertise becomes super easy to understand because that's just double your proficiency, right? Super easy, not complex to understand. You've got your cunning action. I feel like can get a little bit confusing to an extent, just because like learning what dashing is and other things like that, and trying to figure out hiding and all of that. If you try and do all of those, it can be a little bit difficult. But I think by the comparison of, let's take it as compared to let's say a wizard, right? where I feel like people get choice paralysis because you're looking at these 9 different spells, and as a new player trying to read all of these spells, it's just too.
Only 9.
Yeah, I'm talking level 1.
Yeah.
It's just too much. It's too much for a new person to try and mind you, some people it's fine, right? But for like the average, that's at especially if they just made their first character right before it and they're trying to pick out all those spells, my gosh, they're gonna have a rough time. But yeah, I don't think Sneak is generally too hard to understand these days. It's still poorly named, but
Well, it's would you prefer backstab,
yes,
which is the old name for it?
yes,
Okay. Would you then need to be standing behind the person to backstab them?
no.
No. You magically doing a reach around attack?
I would maybe name it something like skill shot or something like that.
You know, sometimes when some TTRPGs and video games name stuff like this, they go with a really thematic or a really emotive name like cut the tendon or something like that, or something or others. But that also results in the same kind of problem where people like, do I specifically cut tendon?
Exactly.
So
I don't know if I'd settle on skill shot, but I think that would be almost better than sneak attack.
Tactical strike, but
yes,
you got
tactical strike is
you got
good.
like that modern feel to it.
Yeah.
Which you could also kind of slide into tactical branding.
Yeah.
There. So.
But yeah, do you got any questions for my rogue thing? I think we're pretty much on the same page on rogue.
Rogue is exceedingly easy.
Yeah.
Probably the only thing that you don't have the full play on armor and weapons.
Yeah, but generally. Yeah, it's not too complex, and on your turn, you generally know what you're going to be doing.
Yeah.
Fighter falls in the same boat of you generally know what you're going to be doing.
Mm-hmm.
It's more choosing the who you're going to attack and how to position yourself, which is a better starting point than figuring out everything else, I feel.
Yep.
All right. I think we're...
I think
your second one. Yeah, you're going to your second one.
I would say Barbarian.
Barbarian. Okay.
You got insane HP.
Yeah. Okay. So you're talking because it'll be hard to die. I think.
Yeah.
Okay.
You when you rage, you cut damage in half on melee.
Easy concept to
simple,
understand.
On damage. So and at very low levels, when people are typically brand new to the game, you're pretty much almost entirely getting hit by not always, but typically bludgeoning, slashing, and piercing damage. You'll rarely ever get hit by like fire damage or something like
psychic
that.
damage.
Or psychic damage or anything like that with a barbarian at very low levels. You might occasionally get hit by that, and people are going to have to remember to actually list out like, there's 4 points of fire damage.
Yeah, that part
like that. That's probably the only other major thing in that. Barbarians are easy to optimize. Put your best stats into your constitution and strength. If you want, you can have a good dex there if you get a really good roll. They're really easy to utilize weapons with. You basically have full range access to all weapons, but you get to swing around really big melee weapons. You get unarmored defense, but you get a really nice version of unarmored defense where you get to keep a shield. So if you want to go sword and board with your barbarian, or axe and board with your barbarian, you still get that nice bonus from your shield for them. You also have danger sense, which basically is a touch of rogue in there, but basically gives you advantage on evading dangerous traps and various other things that you can see clearly. And when you're raging, simple number added, like 1 or 2 or 3.
Yeah, it's just a little +2 or whatever,
onto your damage, but you also get your, as I said before, your resistance, and that's basically the only resource you have to keep track of is your rages, but they last for a long period of time.
I don't really have anything against your barbarian choice here. I mean, yeah, you're absolutely right. It's a basic melee swing with weapon, and also understand that I take half damage from these numbers.
Yeah.
I'll give it to you. That one, very very basic. I do think that it gets more complex at the level 3 range.
Yeah, that's usually where you get your subclasses. But same thing with fighter too.
Disagree, because with fighter you have the easier route of champion.
Berserker for barbarian.
Which one's the berserker again?
You basically just get an attack on a frenzy and a few other things and a few extra dice rolls.
Okay, fair deal. All right, I'll accept it.
It's basically the champion equivalent for the barbarian.
Got it. Got it. Got it. Okay, all right. My number 3. I think this one's going to make a lot of sense.
Mm-hmm.
My heart says Warlock.
Your heart says Warlock.
So
It's Winston, isn't it? You def bonk that.
no,
dragon.
no, no. It's I'm not. I'm just thinking in terms of Eldritch Blast and whatnot. Because the way that a Warlock generally works currently, I think it's one of the easiest spellcasters to comprehend. You don't have to worry about, like, I suppose, upcasting to a small extent. You just have to understand, okay, I just have these 2 spells that I can use. Almost every single time on my turn, I'm going to probably be worrying about using an Eldritch Blast, because I'm probably not using these other spells, except maybe, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the Eldritch Blast generally functions like a fighter's attack, in that it's roughly the same damage die of a d10, a lot of times plus modifier with invocation. And then at level 5, you get the additional blast, which is just the fighter getting his additional attack.
Mm-hmm.
It just acts as a ranged version of a fighter that has difference in AC and charisma.
Honestly, I do like Warlock. And Warlock, if you're playing off of D&D Beyond, where it automatically sets all your spells to the level and sorts them.
Yep.
Yeah, I definitely would say Warlock would be one of the nicest, easiest entry points for a spellcaster. Problem is, you got invocations. You have lots of options there.
You do.
Might stifle a bunch of people, and I've had new people who've played who wanted to play a Warlock, and they get really stymied by that range of options there. And then you also have the problem where you only have 1 spell slot at level 1.
You get 2 by 2.
And
you also have only 1 invocation at level 1.
Then you get, well, you get only 1, but you have a pile of them to pick from.
Yeah.
So that's a problem right there.
By level 3, you have 3 though.
Yeah.
That's way better than it used to be.
And then the pile of invocations increases along with you as you go up. So you're getting new options, and then
counterpoint, you can swap out your invocations on level up, so as soon as you realize, I made a mistake with this one, you just immediately fix it.
True.
Same deal with those spell slots as well.
Yeah.
Because of the change of preparation.
Yeah, you do, but as a new player, you lack the knowledge to know, is that truly a good spell that I picked out to find this and that or whatever spell?
Yeah.
And do I want to hold on to it just in case? You know what really sucks? If I can only cast 1 or 2 spells, and I use those spell slots too early, I'm going to somehow have to get my party to do a short rest for me. And there's a constant issue online where various people complain, like, I don't get enough short rests because I'm a Warlock. I need to get my short rests.
I think short rests are easier than ever to get right now.
But yes, that's largely a dungeon master thing.
Yes.
You, the emissary of Warlocks, have to go and make a video explaining why your Warlock needs their short rests in a day, which I remember in 2014 and 2024 is the max that are effective are 2 by the rules.
For what, sorry?
For short rests.
Oh, okay, yeah, yes.
After that, there's no effect on short rests. But you, as the emissary of Warlocks, need to tell other dungeon masters, please give your Warlocks short rests.
Give them their short rests. They need them.
Yes. But anyways, Being tied.
Unless they're one of my Eldritch Smite Warlocks, 2 is enough. We'll be fine.
Oh yeah.
The boss dies by 1, and we have the extra 1 for fun.
Yeah, but anyways, it can be very unnerving to only have one thing to, and then you have this list of things to pick from, and
You're talking invocations, correct?
Invocations,
Yeah.
and then when it comes to spells, like I can only choose one spell of this list, is so I can. I have this short list of spells. I can only cast one spell at this moment. What is the best spell in my short list of spells?
Yeah.
And then when I level up, what other spells can I choose to add to on my expansion? And then what spell do I cast then? And it could be very unnerving. But also the fact that Warlock has still decent health, but not as great a health as the Marshals.
That's true. Sits in the same range as the Rogue.
Yeah, and that is the one thing that probably works against the Rogue is the low HP.
You mitigate it by level 6 with Uncanny Dodge.
Yeah, with Uncanny Dodge, and then there's Evasion on top there, and you still have decent, and then you still have decent armor class with your equipment, but
with a solid Dex and studded leather, you're already looking at 17
and
AC.
Dex is considered to be one of those power stats in D&D 5th edition 2014 and 2024. So it gives you your initiative, and it's your saving throw stat for so many different mean in AoE spells. So
it's generally really strong.
It's a really good stat. That's why I chose Rogue for the first one, because you just happen to have that really nice spot, and the only one is you have intelligence as your other one. It'd be so much more awesome if it was charisma.
Yeah.
To go with the theme.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's weird that it's the intelligence.
Yeah, but we've now just meandered off of Warlock.
That's okay.
Rogue.
All right.
But then it's resources. It's picking the right resources for the Warlock, and then knowing when you should switch off of those resources to a different one, and when you run into a situation where it doesn't work, but knowing that you are picking the right one still.
Yeah. Okay.
So
I still think it sits as a really good beginner class.
Oh, I do agree that a Warlock is really good in the fact that you have Eldritch Blast, which is a awesome cantrip, unlimited use. It upgrades really nice. So if you are...
And the range is amazing.
And if you play into the Eldritch Blast-esque game, it's very rewarding for ease of play.
Yeah. All right, so your last one has to be fighter, right?
You just got done with, and then I countered on Warlock.
Yeah, I did Warlock as my third, and now you're responding as you ask questions on it. So now you're at where you say what your third one is.
I would definitely say fighter would be.
It's got to be fighter, right?
Because fighter is very nice. You have that nice that you just pick any weapon, pick any armor. You have a good die in the middle for hit die. You have it's an easy concept for people to get into. Going around and bonking people with your weapon.
Yeah.
And you have your shield and you can armor up on stuff like that. Fighter is really nice is in that territory. Probably the only thing I would say that's probably frustrating is as similar to Warlock is that you have the issue of knowing to use your resources, such as your second wind. Second wind is probably the easiest one.
Yeah,
you just have to get the player to remember they have it, and you are getting low. It's a good time when you get low to use second wind.
Yeah, just don't forget you have this healing ability.
Yeah, and then in the
I took damage. Can I use it? Yeah, you can use it.
Yeah, and then in the other one is probably them remembering they have action surge. and getting them to remember they have this feature called Action Surge, and then at some point getting them comfortable to the point where you can feel good using it or saving it for a big fight.
Yeah.
So many times I've seen in groups with a fighter with Action Surge is that they will hold on to it just in case a bigger, badder baddie comes out, and then they drag on the fight for a really long time. And this includes not just level 1, not just new players, but even somewhat experienced players, mid-level and even high-level. When you Action Surge, you just double over everything. Instead of getting like just an extra attack, you get an extra 2 attacks or an extra 3 attacks or an extra 4 attacks, even at really high levels, just doubling it up. Why not just go? That's the boss. That's the final boss in the campaign.
Go nuclear.
Just go ahead and Action Surge first thing on your attack. And
he used it. He used his first Action Surge.
Yeah, just go ahead and use your Action Surge.
Deep.
Yeah, and drop out like 8 die rolls.
All right, I think that we've got general agreement on the.
I think we got to 4.
Yeah, we got to 4 classes. Which
you want to do a 5th?
A 5th. My easy out is just a barbarian, right?
If you want, you want to go with barbarian. Sure.
No. Let's say we can't pick the one that the other person picked. That way we spread it out a little bit deeper. But I would say barbarian. But that cop out. So I'm gonna say
you could say that's your honorable mention.
Yeah, no on Artificer because there's just. I really like Artificer, but it's too confusing for new people. There's too much there. Druid is in the same boat, but it's better than it used to be. Bard is not too complex these days, I feel, and you can generally make them pretty tanky depending what you go with, which is nice. They've got good survivability, decent hit die.
Depending on your subclass.
But I feel like the difficulty with Bard is just knowing when to use the utility, and as a new player, figuring that shit out can be challenging. Yeah. So not so much there. Sorcerer, probably not. The meta magics can get confusing for new people.
I pushed for the 5th one so we can actually get into the really deep end of it.
Yeah.
After you get past the first 2 or 3, it gets harder.
Oh yeah, it does. I almost want to say wizard specifically, but the issue with the wizard is that you just have so many choices of spells, and as a new player trying to choose between them. I think I gotta say cleric, even though the what is the name of their ability? Channel Divinity. Even though Channel Divinity can get like weird to understand as a new player, like what does this thing do? Doesn't it do something with undead? And then sometimes it doesn't, right? Yeah. That can be a little bit weird for a new player to figure out, but generally you know that, okay, I can hit things with my mace to the face, if you will. And then you've got, I can wear tanky armor, I know I'm generally safe, good hit die, and I know I can heal my allies, and I understand when they need healing, so I can just do that. Mm-hmm. It's not complex decisions, I feel, for the cleric, and it's generally very straightforward, aside from the Channel Divinity.
Yeah, honestly, you stole my cleric.
Yeah, get fucked.
But anyways, yeah, I would have... Cleric is right in my front end of the list there that of easy character classes, literally for exactly all the reasons you stated.
Yeah.
And being that cleric has so many different options on them, that they're a full caster, they're almost a full martial minus extra attack, and they have a whole bunch of other stuff on it.
The one where they get that isn't even good though. Like war cleric. It's not good.
But anyways, yes, I do agree that they are actually quite a good class. The only problem I could counter throw into it, because that's supposed to be my job this moment, is because cleric has so many layers, and it's a full caster 70% martial, full martial. They have a lot of utility in them. Uh, because they have so much, if a person is easily overwhelmed by sheer number of options, it can overwhelm them. It becomes an easy class the moment you can get the person out of obsessing about all the different features
Yeah.
and just realize that like it's okay, Tim, if you just bonk people with your maze and walk up to them with your shield and armor on, you're still going to do fine.
Yes.
If you want to stand back and just be a caster, you'll still be perfectly fine. If you want to give people guidance or buff or debuff or do healing focus, that's still perfectly fine. A cleric is a full suite in 3 different categories.
Honestly, true.
Full suite in 2 different categories and 75% of one of a third one.
You're talking 75%
Of the martial.
Yeah, okay.
because they struggle a little bit more in
Yeah.
martial because they only have a limited range of weapons.
Yeah,
for their
absolutely
melee
true.
weapons.
They do get the nice shoot. I'm failing to remember the name of the mastery that they get, but they do actually get a really nice mastery. Not slow, not vex, not nick. The one that I think gives things disadvantage on the attack, on any attacks.
I'm blanking for the name of it right now.
But you know what I'm talking about.
Because you literally blanked on it too.
Yeah.
And now you got me thinking, wondering what is it.
But no, that is generally a really nice
Yeah.
mastery that they get that is generally very useful and does make it worthwhile for them to swing on things melee.
Yeah. I do agree that cleric is a really good choice. It's just you have to somehow get the person to stop obsessing about all the massive range of options and just realize that they could literally just put themselves in one of those categories and they're still perfectly fine.
Yeah.
And I would definitely agree with your Warlock. Warlock's also really good just because you don't have to fiddle with a lot of other stuff on top of that.
You know roughly what you're going to do.
Yeah, you know what you're roughly going to do. It's really just building the character that's really frustrating.
Yes.
And then also when you're casting spells and trying to pick out your 1 or 2 spells in the day to cast a spell in.
Oh, yeah.
Mystery whether you're getting your short rests in.
Yep.
Yet again, back to that. That is a hard point. My option for the extra one is actually going to be Bard. Bard is still a solid caster. You have healing, just like Cleric. Depending on the subclass you choose, they also have options like gaining bigger range in melee weapons and armor. And you can also be a more castery version as well. You can also be a more evasive version with the Dancer Bard in the 2024.
Yeah.
You can customize a bard left or right, but they also have, get this, just like the rogue, expertise, which they can toss onto a bunch of stuff, and then they do perfectly fine. And there are also a lot of their spells. They have a nice range of debilitation spells and support spells and healing spells. So they can also dabble into a little bit of what the cleric has, but they don't have the ridiculous number of range of options.
Like a wizard.
Like a wizard in spells. They're more of a curated version of like a cleric.
Don't you have a massive list to choose from?
You have like an equivalent list to like a cleric.
Oh, that's not bad then.
Yeah. Probably the one thing that the cleric wins out for is that you can re-choose spells every beginning of the day, where Bard, you're kind of stuck to it until you level up.
That makes sense.
But simply just, if you cure Healing Word is an awesome spell. Vicious Mockery is a great spell to pick out for cantrips. There's very few options for attack spells, which basically you pick out the 1 or 2 there, and then you fill in with few healing, and
Yeah.
when you get to the level, you get a hypnotic pattern or shatter for some fun play or sleep.
I think that you would run in for working against your idea.
And the bard is basically like a lighter spellcaster
I feel
compared
like
to everyone else.
there is a bit of issue of people figuring out when to use their spells, and a lot of the descriptions for bard spells are on the lengthier side of things, which can make things difficult for newer players as well, at least to like fully comprehend their list and what it does. Otherwise, I generally agree. It's just it can be harder to get that baseline knowledge of playing the character. Obviously, there's some that are like generally easier, like Vicious Mockery, but there can be others that are a little more difficult to understand, like what am I thinking of? Not I was gonna say, like, I don't know. Do they get mirror image?
I do believe so.
Mirror image
They
can
get
potentially be a bit
they get a lot of illusion spells, and illusion spells
tend to be a little bit on the complex side.
Yeah, the half the problem usually most people have with illusion spells is usually DM interpretation.
Yeah, that's true as well. All right, I got a hypothetical question here. Let's say hypothetically someone in the audience right now asks you, they aren't necessarily a new player. They're just asking, what should my next character be? What are you telling them the next character should be? Class.
Well, my default whenever playing as a player is that oftentimes if I'm completely up in the air and I don't know what I'm going to do, oftentimes I'll ask the other players what they're playing, and oftentimes the process of finding out, Gage is playing a barbarian, Matt is playing a bard, John is playing a rogue.
I would never.
All so far we're having heavy more of a martial feel. Oh, we got a fighter. That would eliminate things down to a range of like, I could play like a heal. Did I say bard in there?
No, I don't think so.
Oh, I thought I might have said a bard.
You might have. I could be wrong. We'll see it back in the tapes.
Yeah, but anyways, if in that case, if someone's playing a bard, I could play like a blaster, like a warlock or a sorcerer or a wizard.
Yeah.
Kind of character, but I still have a good range of utility options with those spellcasters and stuff like that. And that's the easy option. The B option to that is like you keep a list of all the different classes you've played so far, and like, I haven't played a druid for an extremely long time. I guess I'm gonna go ahead and play a druid. And it's bonus points if the A solution and the B solution happen to be the same thing.
Fair take. I suppose I agree with all of your points there on building a character. Mind you, for myself, for figuring out my character, a lot of times I figure out roughly what the thing that I want to try and accomplish, or the role in the party I want to accomplish is.
Can you make it a rogue or a warlock?
Well, a lot of the time,
or a sorcerer.
A lot of the time it comes down to, well, I suppose this would do really well as that. But no, what I was gonna say though is a lot of the times you're absolutely right on that. But actually, that wasn't even what the initial question was. But it was a really good answer. The initial question was, let's say someone asks.
I pulled a DM on you. I knew where you were going, and I put that ogre there to meet you.
Yeah, the person asks you right now, I have to pick a class. What am I playing? What are you telling this person they have to play right now?
Oh, I've already said my little part.
What? One single class.
One single class?
One single class.
Oh, you know what? My fifth class... we did 4 classes, correct? Yeah. My 5th class would be Paladin.
Paladin?
Paladin.
Are you telling them to play a Paladin?
Yeah, Paladin's awesome. You have healing, you got smites, you have your full martial, but you also have magic that augments on top of your martial with the smites, and various other spells like Divine Favor and a few others that really give you that extra little pounding on your enemies. But you can also heal people. you have lay on hands. You got cure wounds and a few other things. And you have a handy dandy aura that emanates out from you passively. The only problem is just keeping track of that stuff. And even then, the paladin is kind of like in the same territory as a cleric. Even if you literally forget you have auras, you're still a solid character.
Yeah.
Even if you forget you have divine smites, you're still a solid character, even compared to a fighter in martial. If you just sporadically use your
Maybe
healing,
I'll have to make a paladin at some point.
Even though if you forget to use your divine smites and your auras, and you just healed people with your healing magic, and you buff them every so often with your buffing magic spells, you're still doing a really good job. And you're also really freaky tanky, and you have really good AC.
I really want
and you're a charisma class. Yes.
I really want to say artificer, but we need it to come out.
Yeah, artificer is like the slightly nerdier brother to warlock.
Yeah,
and a lot of the same problems with artificer tie into warlock too.
Yes,
and you have invocations, and then you have
infusions.
And infusions,
but infusions change, and now they're like basically just replicate magic.
Yeah, replicate magic item. You have that parallel, and then you have a limited range of spells. But in the case of artificer, you actually have a larger option range.
Yes.
You get more spell slots. You get actually better armor proficiencies compared to warlock in various areas with a lot of classes. And even your subclasses augment on top of that. So in a weird way, artificer is actually easier than warlock. Yeah. Because a lot of the little nitty restrictions on warlock are just loosened up a little bit more.
Yeah.
And you can play around in an event. And you can just like clerics and druids and paladins, back to paladin, which is my extra 5. Artificers automatically know all their spells that they can cast. Yeah. So you can every day choose a different spell to cast as from your selection.
Maybe I'll have to have a conversation with Nathan about trying my next character being a artificer if mine should perish. Yeah. And then actively using the Unearthed Arcana and just keeping track of that in notes offhand of, this ability works this way, this ability that works this way. Yep. God, I want to try new Artificer.
Yeah. And I think that's part of the reason why you like Artificers, because it's like an alt version of Warlock.
It kind of is.
You have that fun little range of customization that is very much in line with D&D 3.5 and Pathfinder, where you can just rearrange essentially feats, which are called invocations, or replicate magic items, and you can shuffle them around and find your own little special blend.
You can swap your infusions around and get new magic items and do new cool things. Oh my god, they're fun.
Yeah. Absolutely. Positively.